I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is March 3rd, 2016, and in this video I'm going to be going over installing Intellij 15 Ultimate and getting it set up for Scala and for the Scala build tool, well, SBT, which some say is the Scala build tool, but I think it's actually the simple build tool. Now, why am I doing this? Well, I was fighting with Intellij 14 the other day, the Ultimate version, and I was trying to get the Scala build tool working correctly, and it wasn't quite setting up correctly, and so I figured I could fight with that, or I could install the new version 15 and fight with that. So I decided to kind of go with the new version and install it. So I haven't fought with it yet, so I'm going to see if it actually just fixes it, or if I have to fight with it a little bit. But that's what I'm going to do in this video, install it, and get all the Scala stuff working that I want to get working. Anyway, with all that said, let's go download it and install it. First, I want to go over the cost, because I guess they've changed things recently. So there is an Intellij idea that's free. There's a community edition, and it'll probably do everything you want with Scala, and life is good. However, I like buying the tools so you get all the extras, and also I like to support Intellij because they're doing a lot of cool stuff. And one of the things that they're doing that's nice is their pricing structure. And they've been doing this, for a long time. And so what they've done is they have a typical price they have a typical price for businesses. And it's a reasonable price. You can see the prices down here. They're about $500, depending on what you want to do. And that's not bad. But what they've done in the past is they have individual customers. So this is a license for me. I like to have my own just in case, and it gets used, and it's nice, and it's not too bad. And what I would do is I'd go I bought it years ago, and then I'd upgrade it every year, and they'd have an upgrade price too, which they do with the business edition too. They're the same edition, there's a different pricing structure. It's nice that they look out for the small guy and give us a little break. Now, what they've done recently, I guess there was a brouhaha, and I missed it all. Because I had bought my last version a year and a half ago, something like that, and I was a little overdue for upgrading, so I've been a little delayed. But now I need to upgrade. I don't need to, but I want to. But I guess what happened is they, along with everyone else, was trying to go to a subscription model. And I missed the brouhaha, but I read up on it. It looks like the community just fought that tooth and nail, because it really stinks, and I kind of hate this myself, that there's some point to having a subscription model. But it really stinks because life can kick you in the teeth sometimes. And so, especially as an individual developer who's doing things at home sometimes, or doing side projects, and, jobs come and go. I'm gainfully employed right now, love my employer, life is great. But if I had to, I do spend some of my own money to buy my own stuff that benefits my employer, that I do for them, but also benefits me, like Intellij, or I have Camtasia, which I'm using right now, that my employer doesn't pay for, but I pay for. And sometimes it makes sense for a subscription model. Some things are really cool, like Adobe. You can go over there and pay a monthly fee, and you can get all their products for $50 or $60, I guess, a month. But then the minute you stop paying, you lose access to everything. And for key technologies, for being an individual developer, if all of a sudden, I was using Intellij and I was using Intellij Ultimate in a certain way, and it really benefited me, and then I lost my job, and then something happened with life, and you just got kicked in the teeth. And then knowing that if you don't pay X dollars a month, you're going to lose your tools. That hurts. And so they were going to go to that model. I understand they want some more consistent money coming in, fine and dandy. But I guess the community fought them. But the Intellij guys are great. And so they really believe in the community, from what I've seen in the past. And so I guess they come to a compromise, a really good compromise. And so what they do is they have a yearly license. And as you can see here, they have it going down in descending order. So if you're going to start out fresh, and you're an individual, not a company, you're just buying it for yourself, the first year is $150. And that's actually cheaper than what it used to be. I think it was like $250 or something. But here, the upgrade, now you have to upgrade every year. And then the price goes down. $150, then $119, then $89. So it encourages you to keep your subscription constant, up to date. So that's great. But what they did at first is I think they were doing that, but then you would lose your license if you didn't pay, and then all of a sudden your stuff wouldn't work. And So what they did is I forget the name they said for it, like a retroactive license or something. They have some name for it. So whatever you've paid up to. So like right now, I just bought a new year. So I've paid up through version 15. And so whatever becomes available for the next year, let's say 16 becomes available in 8 months. Well, I got 16. I can download it. I'm good. And then if I stop paying after that time, my version 16 still works. Whatever I've paid up to, I keep. But now if I stop paying, then I get bumped back up to the more expensive prices. I think that's a model that works because I don't get my tools yanked out from me at possibly the worst time in my life if something really disastrous happens. Also, I like to keep my software. Renting my software, for some things works, and I agree with it, and I'm fine, and for some things I don't agree with, and it's not fine in my mind. Anyway, but what they've also done is done a much better deal since I already have it. The last version, they weren't under the subscription model when I last paid for it, when I last upgraded. So now, rather than the $149 or even the $119, they gave us a deal, $89 for the first year. And then for the next year, they gave it for free. And then from then on, it's just $89. So for, $45 for a year for the first 2 years, it's not a bad deal. I like what they've done, especially since I can keep what I have. So thank you, Intellij guys. I like the model, and I like, giving you guys money. So it's a good deal. So I've already bought it. I've already downloaded it. And so now I just need to go install it. So here, I'll just go click on here to install it. Oh, and if you're like me, I have different systems. So I have a Mac system, a Unix system, a Linux system. I just download every single version. And then I deploy them to my boxes that I need. But then I'm only using one license at a time. It's only for me. I'm not doubling my license. So if you're like me, make sure you download all of them at the same time. I guess you don't have to, but Okay, so let me just run this and install it. And I did this earlier, so I kind of removed it. Now I'm reinstalling it again because it actually has some nice installation steps now. So I want to keep my 14. I don't want to wipe it out. I could install it, but I want to keep it for now. So we'll install version, and I'll create a desktop shortcut for the moment. Install it. This may take a little while, but when I installed it last time, it had some nice little installation help features that weren't there before, or at least I don't remember them being there before, to say, oh, do you want Scala? Do Scala. Oh, do you want this? So you could choose a few things to automatically install the plugins. You don't have to install them after the fact. So I'll let this run. We'll just watch it as it gets done. It may take a few minutes. Okay, we got all that finished. So let me just run Intellij and click Finish. Let's see if it'll go through some installation startup process. Now for me, I don't want to import my previous settings because I want to kind of start fresh and see what I need to do and make notes so I don't forget. So I'll just say I do not have a previous version. I do not want mine. Okay, yeah, so I'll choose no. Okay, now I have to put in my license. So let me go grab my license. Which they sent to me. Now, when I first downloaded it, it automatically kind of put it in there. Now that I'm re-downloading, I guess it forgot about it. But anyway. See if it accepts that. There we go. Now, the Dracula theme looks cool and all, but, gotta go with the normal theme. Okay, so default plugins. So this is kind of nice. They can actually do... This is where you can choose some plugins before you get started. So, I guess I can customize these if I care. I think these... It looks like these are already all enabled, so if we want to customize them, we can go and customize. So Yeah, I'll leave them as is. Okay, next, feature plugins. Now I want Scala. Live edit tool, it sounds interesting. And Node, yeah, give me some Node. Now idea Vim, that sounds interesting because I'm a Vi guy, but I can see that getting me into trouble. Okay, let's download all the fun Scala stuff. Okay, looks like they're all installed now, so I can just start using Intellij. Come on, Intellij. And there's perpetual fallback, that's what they're calling it, a perpetual fallback license. Thank you, Intellij. Good job on that. Like, I would probably do a subscription for Microsoft Office if it had perpetual fallback license, but it doesn't. Okay, so there we go. So now I'm going to go through a couple of steps. My next step I'm going to do is I want to just bring up a Scala program and see if it works. So let's go do that. Before I forget, I always forget to pin this guy. So let me go move this over here and pin the program to the taskbar. Okay, now it should be good. So let me go open a project. I already have a Scala project somewhere. Let me just go open it and make sure it's working. Okay, where did I put this stuff now? The desktop, I got. Forget where I stick things sometimes. Ah, I know where it is. It's on the B drive. Research. There we go. So let it open. Now this is a Scala project I've been working on. It's not an SBT project, it's a simple Scala project. And let's see if it opens in the on the wrong screen, but hey, it'll open. I got a little warning. Windows 7 sometimes breaks FTP connections. Okay. Give my typical stuff. Okay, got it. Hover window. And we'll give it a few minutes here as it uploads everything. If you're not familiar with Intellij, you know, if you have a big project loading up, you'll see down here there'll be like a little progress bar that tries to grab stuff. Updating indices. So I can click to open. Oh, I guess it's a slightly bigger window. Okay, I'll let that run. It'll take a few minutes. Oh, here's another thing that drives me nuts. When this guy opens up, you know, this all works fine, but I don't like this over here. So I had to go dig through and figure out where this is. I like to have this over here. And to change that, you go to View and Toolbar. That's the preference I have. And there. And so now I get the toolbar, which has a few more tools, but I'll actually end up moving this over here. And that's kind of where I like it. But everyone has their own tweaks, right? Okay, indexing. Come on. I think I need a new laptop. Something with some more speed. Oh, and I guess while I'm doing this, if you hadn't done the Scala plugin, you should be able to go in here and go into File. Let's see, Settings, File Settings. And do a search. There's plugins right there. You could search for it, but it's right there. And this will show you all the plugins that are installed right now. And I can do a real quick search on Scala. And there it is. It's already installed, version 2.2.0. So that's where you install plugins if you need to. Cancel, and our indexes are almost done. There we go. So now I can go in here, and I've been doing code eval. Let's see if you run. Oh, not specified. Oh, I gotta go specify my SDK. Oh, there we go. No SDK for project. Let's see. Oh, I gotta go grab all my SDKs again. Let me do it the difficult way. So I can go down here and go to project structure, go into SDKs. I already have Java installed on this machine, and so I can just go and find it, which it should be there. And Java, there we go, Java. And I probably should load all of these just so I know where they are. So there's 1.8, which is what I'll be using. JDK. How about JDK? And I will go grab the other ones just in case I need them for something. You're not going to remember your space, huh? Doesn't remember where it was. Okay, 1.7. And JDK. Come on. 1.6, just in case. Okay, so there I am right there. So those are loaded. Let me hit OK. And I should go to. Let's see if it grabs it. Got to reindex now, right? This will be another fun part once I get a new laptop at some point this year. You know, it's going to take a month to put everything on there the way and get it set up the way I want. So it's fun to get new toys, but then it takes a long time to set them up just the way you want. It's like getting the chair just the right way. Okay, slowly but surely. Okay, there we go. So now we still have issues. What are we crying about? Probably crying about Scala. Let me see. Yeah, it's crying about Scala. So, yeah, I need to get the Scala SDK set up correctly. So let me go back over here and go into settings. And even though I have the plugin, oh, not that. Okay, go to File, go to Project Structure, and Modules, right? So I can added ACA from before. Does it need to be marked? Oh. Let's try that. I guess it remembers them from the project. Let's see if you're going to index again. Okay, let me go figure that out. I have something wrong with my Scala. Let me go fix that. Okay, I figured it out. I was just kind of being a dunderhead here. So I need to go into here and go into File, Project Structure, and there are my SDKs. But I need to go to the Global Library and click the plus button and Scala SDK. And then here's my 2.11.7 and hit OK. And hit OK again. And there's all my libraries. Life's good. And it should catch them all. Now, I should run this guy. and have it work. Hopefully. There we go. Okay, so that ran. And so it's just a simple, I just want to make sure it's working. This is something I've been working on before, doing a bunch of code eval tests just to work on my Scala skills, which are still lacking, but I'm getting there. So I've got an existing Scala, basic Scala project working. It's not a Scala build tool project, just a basic Scala project. And that's kind of all I had to do to get to that far. Now, the next thing I want to do is to try to bring in a project that is built with the SBT Scala, simple build tool, that uses the simple build tool to build. And I just want to bring in an existing project and get that working in Intellij 15. Okay, now here's where I might show some of my ignorance with the Scala build tool. Now I've got the Scala build tool book here. Now back in the day I used to be an ant build ninja a little bit. I wasn't the best, but I was pretty good at doing ant builds. And so I want to get good at doing SBT builds. So I am going to be learning. So I may, if you want a good example on how to set up SBT in Intellij, this may not be it. But it may be. Maybe I'll just get it right the first time. So what I want to do is I want to go download an SBT project. So I went over to GitHub, and I was just kind of searching for something. And there was something I looked before called Squilio, which is a Twilio Scala app. And so I looked at it and it has SBT. And so I'll just copy it to the clipboard. Because the main thing I want to do right now is just download something that has an SBT and make sure it can open up and everything works correctly. Because I was having issues with it not working correctly before in 14. Could have just been my setup. But let me just git clone, pull that guy down. Dun, 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 dun. So we've got it. And then let me open it. So let me do File, New Project. Let's see if I want to do it that way. File, New Project, Scala SBT. Next. And find it. It's on my desktop here. And Squilio. And hit OK. Let's see if it'll get it. So here I've got Java 1.8, SBT 0.13.8, looks fine, and click Finish, and let's see if that just magically works. New window, and here SBT 0.12.4 plus required. Well, I should have had that, right? Try one more time. New project, Scala SBT, SBT, and 0.13.8. Looks right. Okay, same thing I did last time, right? Click Finish. Yeah, I'll overwrite it because I guess it made it. Now what do I got? Refresh failed. 0.12.0. There's the build. If I know if I go down here, I can click on SBT and nothing to show. The refresh failed. Let me save that, see what happens. You've got to refresh it. That'll refresh the SBT. And what is that going to do? Oh, it's downloading stuff. Okay, cool. So it should be following whatever rules they have set up in here, which I haven't looked at. which are talking about dependencies, and pulling them down. Oh, no SDK. So set up the Scala SDK. I'm going to set up the default. So, okay. I should set the default SDK for projects or something. Okay, so now it's indexing / following the SBT. You can see that down at the bottom. Trying to grab all the files it needs from all the projects. Now, I'm an SBT novice, so I have a lot to learn about how I think it's talking with Ivy and download and everything, all those dependencies. So it's somewhat similar to Node. You can define on what your dependencies are, and it'll automatically download everything for you. I think, but I haven't done it yet, so I can't confirm or deny. But I just want to get. That's the reason I want to get this set up correctly the first time, because that's what I'm doing next, is beating on SBT. My refresh failed. Okay, my refresh failed. Don't know why you failed. Quick refresh project here again. Refresh failed. Well, let me go pause for a minute here and see if I can figure out what's going wrong. Okay, I think I figured it out, but I'm going to go on some little side journeys as I figure this out and show you what I've kind of learned. Now, the first thing is SBT will use Ivy to download stuff. And from what I'm trying to figure out where it downloads, because it's just not my specialty, and I need to learn more about this. Now, if you're doing something like a Node project, you could when you refer to libraries you want, they just bring it into your project, and they're right there. They just kind of pull everything together, and it's all in one thing. That's not the case typically when you're doing Java stuff, and it's definitely not when you're doing Ivy, apparently. So what Ivy, you want to cache everything, because you don't want to keep downloading the same jar file and reusing it. You'd like to download the one jar file and reuse it for all your projects, rather than download it again and again and again and be redundant. So what they have done is the default, and I'll put this URL in the show notes. The default for SBT, when it uses Ivy, is to go down here and set the Ivy home. And the Ivy home is going to use the user home as defined in Java. Now, I'm on a Windows system, and so that's actually going to be on my C drive users, my username. And there'll be a .ivy folder. And so if I actually... Let me pull this over here. So if I go on my Cygwin prompt, if I go down to C users, Patman, my user, there is a .iv2 folder here. And so that is being created during the SBT process, and everything's being put in there. Now, what I did is I went, as a test, I just went and opened it up. And some of the stuff in here is being used, so I can't wipe it all out, but I'll just wipe it out, what I can out right now, to show you that it's going to download that. So we'll just skip all those. So I wiped a bunch of them out. Now, I could overwrite it and tell it where to put my files per build if I want to, but I'm just going to stick with this default for now. Okay, so there's that. Now, the other thing I want to do is I don't know if that Squilio project's messed up or something. I just don't want to fiddle with it. So I found another project, just SBT-example. And I'm going to grab that guy. So I'll copy that, and I'll do a git clone paste. There we go. And there we go. Now I'll open it up. So here I'll go File, New, Project, Scala SPD, Next. I'll go grab it. There it is right there. And I have my correct SBT version 0.13.8 and 2.11.7. I look good. Click Finish. And so now my Ivy, and I don't want to add git stuff. Okay, so now my Ivy, You bring up if I click on here, I can bring up this SBT, and it'll show my dependencies. So now I'll bring it in here, and now you can see now it's running, and it's starting to download everything it needs. And so I'll let that go, and you can see it's starting to fill up this folder, this cache folder inside that .iv2 folder. There's a cache folder, and this should start getting filled up with dependencies defining this build tool and this SBT build that it doesn't already have. Now, in Cygwin, my default directory is home patman in Cygwin. Now, you'd think there'd be a .iv2 folder in here because, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I could run SBT in my Cygwin, and it would download stuff, but the Java that I'm running in Cygwin is actually just, the Windows Java, nothing special. And so that would refer to, it would use the user home there, which would still reuse this .iv2 directory. So there would not be a .iv2 directory in my Cygwin directory. I would actually still use the Windows one, so it all kind of works out. Now, I guess if I wanted to, I could make a link to that one for convenience sake. Maybe I should do that. But I'll just let it finish downloading here. But you can see it's downloading stuff. It's working. I'll just close that, and we'll just let it run and get its job done. And maybe I will make a symlink. So here I'll go into there and I'll do ln -f. I'll make symlinks often enough. -fs, and I'll say .iv2 right here. That's where I want it. So I say sig drive c users .iv2. Looks right. No, that works. So now I can say .iv2. Okay. Now I got it linked up. So that'll work for me mentally. Now let's let it down. It's downloading the rest of the files it needs. It looks like everything's working just fine. There's my build. Looks like it didn't grab my SDK again. So just click on that, pops up. Need to figure out how to make that a default. And so now these reds will go away here in a second once between setting the SDK and downloading stuff it's thinking. So we'll just let it think here for a minute. Okay, there we go. So now it's all downloaded, it's all updated. Looks like it's working just fine. Now, although I can come down here and open this SBT, and I can refresh the project and it will re-download stuff, I guess. I was expecting some little cool SBT tool here beyond that for the console, but I guess they don't do that. They just, from what I've read, they just say, hey, go here and open the terminal. And then just, run SBT and then do it that way. I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to typically run it just in Cygwin, and it'll work, because it's nice to know that it's actually referring to the same .iv folder, so I don't have to reload it again and again. So that my ID is not fighting with my command line. I can see every so often, I may need to use it in the terminal window just for convenience, perhaps. But as you can see, I don't have SBT on my typical command path. I do have it on Cygwin, but I don't have it on my Windows command. And this is using the Windows command, which I hate. There's a way to fix that. So I'll show you real quickly. You can go up here and go to File, Settings, and go to Terminal. You can tweak your terminal. So I can click on here, and normally it's just using the command.exe. But I don't want to use that. What I want to use is I want to use my Sigwin, but within Intellij. So I can go down here and go to C drive and go to my Sigwin. And in here, I should have, there it is, sigwin.bat. So I can use that. And so let's see, I think I can copy, let's see. Yeah, if I hold my shift key and right click, I can say copy as path. I think that should work. And just do that. And so now, the next time the terminal starts up here, it'll actually start my Sigwin, which is kind of nice. So here I'll apply that and kill it and open my terminal. And there's my Sigwin. And so now I have my Sigwin. So that's nice to know if I want it and need it. But I'm probably not going to use it. I'm probably just going to use my Sigwin on the side to build things out. Yeah, so things open up. I can go into source. I can look at files here. I can make a new Scala file. Okay, that's working. Okay, it all seems to be working, but I'm not going to be running. I guess I could run. If I want to. I can run and test things. I have my IDE, but typically when I'm going to rerun the SBT, I'll just be running in the Sigwin. Just kind of what I'm going to do. Okay. Well, now let me go try the next two things. I want to go just make a new Scala program, just make a new one, and also make a new SBT program and see how that works. Okay, let me just make a new Scala program. So here I'll go new project. Scala, click next, and I'll just leave it untitled. I've got 1.8 and Scala 2.11. Click finish, and let's see what we have. Builds up, nothing special there. And my source, I can right click that and go new Scala. Just make an object, just a test, so. The template for that. There we go. Yeah. I can go up here and edit my configuration and an application. What do I have here? Nothing to show. Oh, here I can just right click on this and run it right. Right click and run. I'm not going to make this a very complicated program. I just want to make sure I can right-click and make my Scala and run it, and things are simple. Looks simple enough. It's running. And it ran test. Okay, it works. Okay, so that's easy enough. Nothing special to set up beyond what I've done already. Now let me do a new project SBT. Let's see what we get. So untitled 1, 0.13.8 for the SBT, 2.11.7 for Scala. Just click finished, and what do I get? Now again, I'm a novice on SBT, so I'm not going to tweak what I get too much right now. I just want to make sure it will work. There's my build. Still loading. Refreshing untitled. There we go. Well, that took a long time the first time out, but I imagine the next time it'll go much faster. So there's my build. Okay, that cleared up. And this is one thing, I remember I was trying to do SBT a few years ago, and then it kind of got sidetracked. Having these spaces in your build I thought was retarded, and I guess they have fixed that. I guess there were some reasons why they did that, but I guess since version 0.12 or 0.13, you no longer have to do that. So you can, for a key value pair, you can make it not look retarded. Now, I don't want to make fun of the people who built this tool. Yeah, there was a reason they did that. I'm sure they probably had to fight a lot to get it to work this way, but I don't know, I'm a stickler when things don't look right. Yeah, so there you go. So we got the build. So now I can come in here and come into my main and Scala. And can I make anything new? Okay, good. I was having an issue with this because yesterday I built this out and I went into my Scala and I right-clicked on it and I did not have my Scala class, so it was a little annoying. But this seems to have fixed it, or maybe I did something wrong last time, I don't know. But speaking of, let me see if I can get it to screw up. There we go. Here, I'll intentionally do something weird. So you wouldn't put your Scala class here, and of course now it doesn't show it. But what I can do, there's two reasons why I found out. One, because the Intellij doesn't think it's a root. You'll see these blue folders indicate a root. So I can go down here and right-click on this and mark directory as a source root. Now you shouldn't do this because it's fine. And then I can right-click on here and I get more options. Now, even then, in some cases you may not get the Scala class option. And if you don't, what you can do is you can go make a file, test.scala, and it'll make it just fine. But when that happens, then a pop-up will probably come up here saying, oh, I can't see your SDK. Do you want to include it? And so I've fixed that recently with that. But if you have that experience I had yesterday, that's how to fix it. But let me undo what I just did, because what I did was stupid. Unmarked source root. So it looks good. So I think it's doing everything I want it to do. I still got a lot more to learn about the Scala build tool, the simple build tool. But I think I kind of have my generic setup set up here. Let me do one more test. Let me go new project, SBT, again. We'll just make it untitled 2. So now this should go much faster. It doesn't need to download anything. All that caching should be done. And it should just be a setup. There you go. Okay, much faster. Looks good. Okay, so I guess that's kind of it for this video. So I got my Intellij 15 set up. I got my Scala plugins and all that stuff set up correctly. I'm getting my SBT at least at a beginner stage kind of working. So now I can actually go take my SBT book and start studying and doing some examples. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. To subscribe, just click the subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on Twitter under the handle @whiteboardcoder.com. View any code I may have thrown up as a gist at GitHub under the username PatmanDenver, or check out my blog site at whiteboardcoder.com.